A West Virginia residential purchase agreement is an essential document in the process of buying or selling a home. A legally binding document, once signed by both the buyer and the seller, it outlines the terms and conditions of the transaction, including the purchase price, expiration date, financing options, and more. In this video, we'll cover how a residential purchase agreement works, legal requirements in West Virginia, and what you need to create one. We're eForms, the biggest online database for legal documents. Watch till the end of this video where you can find an official residential purchase agreement specific to West Virginia. First, let's review what is a residential purchase agreement. The residential purchase agreement initially acts as a written offer from a prospective buyer to the seller of a house. It states how much the buyer is willing to pay for it, how the purchase will be financed, what contingencies must be met before closing the deal, and more. After the initial offer is made, it may take some negotiation between the buyer and the seller to agree on all parts of the contract. Once an agreement is reached, both parties sign the document, making it legally binding. So, what are the legal requirements in West Virginia? West Virginia is a buyer beware state, meaning the seller is not legally required to disclose any of the property's material defects to the buyer. That means that the buyer is fully responsible for conducting inspections on the property prior to executing the agreement. However, state law does mention that a licensed real estate agency may not mislead or lie to the buyer in order to influence the sale. So those selling a property with an agent may want to protect themselves by affirmatively disclosing information that could affect the value of the home. In addition, under federal law, all sellers are required to disclose the property's history with lead-based paint, including any records related to their use or removal. This is especially important for homes that are built before 1978. Now that we know more about how a residential purchase agreement works and what's legally required, here are some things that you should do to make sure the process goes smoothly. Include a mortgage pre-approval letter. A mortgage pre-approval letter is a document from a bank estimating how much it's willing to lend a buyer based on the buyer's credit history, income, debts, and assets. This helps the seller determine whether the buyer is financially credible. Offer an earnest money deposit. An earnest money deposit is a percentage of the offer and provided to the seller ahead of time as a show of good faith. It is written into the residential purchase agreement and typically delivered when the agreement is signed. Use an addendum to modify or add to the agreement. An addendum is often included with a residential purchase agreement to add to or amend any terms and conditions, while leaving the rest of the original agreement intact. It can also detail a contingency which allows either party to opt out of the contract if certain terms are not met. If you're in need of an official West Virginia residential purchase agreement, you can get started by clicking the link right here. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos that help simplify the legal process for everything ranging from selling a house to making a will.